Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War. It is May 20th, 2019, 155 years ago here at Spotsylvania Court House. The Union Army had finally realized it had had enough. It was not able to get at Robert E. Lee, and Ulysses S. Grant decides it's time to pull out and head on to Richmond. Remember, there will be no turning back. Now, I'm not going to wrap things up because we're going to continue on to the North Anna River starting tomorrow. We're going to hit a couple cool sites along the way. But before we leave Spotsylvania, I want to spend a little time here out on my own little section of the battlefield. I'm here at Stevenson Ridge along Courthouse Road, Modern Route 208. Back in the day, it was known as the Fredericksburg Road. Ambrose Burnside's 9th Corps had shifted into this area on May 9th. While all the fighting is going on at the Brock Road, which is a couple miles in that direction from here. Bottlenecked the army, and so Burnside had to come to the battlefield a different route. It's going to take him a whole extra day to get here. He's going to occupy these works, though he's going to create these works, and then occupy them for the first week of the battle. He's going to shift off in that direction from where I'm standing toward the Mule Shoe as part of his attacks there on May 12th and kind of hunker down in that area. So on the evening of the 13th, the morning of the 14th, the 5th Corps in its repositioning is going to slide into these works and occupy them for the second half of the battle. Typically an overlooked section of the battle as Grant is moving his army to the east and south, trying to stretch around Lee, get at Lee somehow, maneuver. Lee's able to keep countering, and so we've talked a lot about that over the course of this week. But in the meantime, well, I guess it's been 6 years ago now, I had the opportunity to present here at a Civil War Symposium along with my colleagues Dan Davis, Chris White, thanks to John Cummings, a good friend of Stevenson Ridge, who invited us to speak there. That's where I first showed up at this place, met the girl of my dreams, got married into my own section of the battlefield. Fantastic. But of course, it's where Ambrose Burnside was. Nobody cares about Burnside, so it's always overlooked. It's been unpreserved, but thanks to the good stewardship of people over the last century and a half, including my in-laws for the past since 2000, this area has remained intact. We've got nearly 90 acres here at Stevenson Ridge, some of the best earthworks in private hands, the Park Service tells us, and so it's something I'm extremely proud of. It's also something that's pretty unique. If we take a look behind me, you can see some of those works, and even here on the videos I'm looking, anybody who's tried to photograph earthworks knows that it looks like a big pile of leaves, and it looks like here I've got a big pile of leaves, even on the video. But bear with me, one of the things that makes this pile of leaves so unique is that the moat is on the front. And then there's the mound. Now typically if you go and look at the Park Service property, you'll see that the moat was always on the inside. Well, these are textbook earthworks. The textbook said actually put your moat on the outside so that if someone is attacking, and this is a great open attack plane, if the Federals were trying to defend this, they've got a downhill slope that would be open. The Confederates would have to come up here. The idea was put your moat on the outside so that if someone's attacking, they get to the moat and it breaks their momentum. Meanwhile, the defenders are laying on the earthen embankment, sticking their rifles out through the earthworks themselves, and can shoot at point-blank range, and they can stab with their bayonets. So that was the idea of having your moat on the outside. It was a momentum breaker while you steadily wait for point-blank range opportunities for stabbing and shooting. But of course that the Federals realized as they are digging works, well, if my moat's on the outside, I am getting shot at by the Confederates off in that direction. So I really ought to put my moat on the inside, and then I can build up the earthworks to protect me as I go. So any place else in the Park Service property around here, you'll see works built in that modified way. But here, these soldiers are relatively new. When they come to this battlefield, they're literally following the textbooks. Some of these works were built like by the 31st, 32nd Maine. They were in Lewiston and Auburn 3 weeks prior to the battle. Someone gave them a uniform, a rifle, and a manual that said, here's how to build earthworks. So they don't have a chief engineer for the 9th Corps, so they're literally sort of following these books, making them as the textbooks tell them to. Once they get into the heat of battle, they'll discover that it's a lot wiser to put your moat on the inside so you can build your wall as you go. So that's kind of one of the unique things here at Stevenson Ridge. We also have a pretty significant and intricate series of covered ways. One of the first places here in the east you'll see those implemented. The Ninth Corps had used them as part of their defenses around Knoxville in the winter of 63-64. So it's something they bring here as part of their siege warfare knowledge, and it gets implemented into operations. So here, this is the first place we actually see those sorts of covered ways implemented. We'll see more covered ways, particularly as you get down to Petersburg and the works become more intricate and siege warfare becomes more prevalent. But one of the other unique natural resources or cultural resources that we have here at Stevenson Ridge are those covered ways. So I get to marry into my own battlefield. I tell my wife I love her for more than just her earthworks, I promise. So tomorrow we're going to head down toward Bowling Green with an eye on the North Anna River with Winfield Scott Hancock's 2nd Corps as Grant starts to dangle them out there as bait as part of his withdrawal from Spotsylvania, trying to lure Lee out of his impregnable works back around Spotsylvania. We're going to follow in those footsteps. I'm excited to get down toward the North Anna River, the most overlooked phase of the Overland Campaign. We're going to spend some time looking at it. I'm Chris Mackowski for Emerging Civil War.